for the upcoming 2022 Formula One season, I think the driver you're going to have to look out for the most is Carlos Sainz. And I'm saying this because I think Carlos has done, first of all, Carlos is a great driver. I think he exceeded people's expectations this year moving to Ferrari. I saw a lot of fans, and me being a Ferrari fan myself, I was having to constantly defend myself saying that don't assume that Carlos is just going to go to Ferrari and just be the second driver and leave it at that. Carlos is still extremely talented in his own right, and he's shown that this year, finishing 5th in the Drivers' Championship, just underneath Sergio Perez with 164 points to Sergio's 190. Carlos is a absolutely exceptional driver, and again, I didn't think he was going to take that quote-unquote second driver role at Ferrari very well. Not to say he wasn't going to perform, but I felt Carlos was going to really go for his and prove that he is not just merely a second driver, that Carlos is very talented and that people should be respecting him like they are now. And I think that's kind of the notion of what's happened. People have now seen, oh, Carlos just isn't a second driver for Ferrari. Carlos in his own right, with this team, with the right car, could eventually maybe one day be a world champion himself. I mean, it's so many drivers on this grid that I think a lot of us want to see win a world title. Max just got his. A lot of us would love to see Carlos, Charles Leclerc, George Russell, Lando Norris. I mean, there's several drivers in this field that we would more than likely like to see win a championship. And I think Carlos deserves to be in that conversation just as much as the others I have mentioned. He showed how consistent he was. He showed his pace, and I mean, he pretty much finished in the points all season. I think there were 2 races where he finished outside of the points, but what a great drive from him all season. And now with him officially having an entire year to get used to that car and so I guess get dialed into it, there's no reason to think that Carlos can't come back and have an exceptional 2022 season. Even with the regulation changes coming into play, I think Ferrari are finally trending in the right direction, upwards, back towards the top. I mean, finishing 3rd in the Constructors. Who would have thought that? Everybody thought Ferrari was still going to be done despite the move of Carlos to Ferrari. There were comments and concerns about whether or not Charles and Carlos would get along, and I think they were the best pairing on the grid in the 2021 season, way better than people's expectations, and they seem to have no gripes or no issues with each other. So I really do think Ferrari is finally getting back to the old Ferrari. I don't know when exactly they may be challenging for, I should say, first place in the Constructors, but I think they're on the upward trajectory towards that point. Again, I mean, who would have thought this season they would have come in finishing 3rd in the Constructors ahead of McLaren by more than 40 points? I don't think a lot of fans really saw that coming. So expect more from Ferrari in 2022, and especially expect more from Carlos Sainz. I think at this point he's not underrated. It's too cliche to say he's an underrated driver. I think now with the season being over, people are finally starting to realize, oh, Carlos Sainz, he's kind of the real deal. He's not a driver that you're just going to shrug off and say, oh yeah, Carlos, he's okay, but you know, he's no real solid driver to the likes of obviously anybody else that's been finishing at the top of the driver standings for the last couple of years. I mean, I really do think with a better car that can compete with the likes of Mercedes and Red Bull, Ferrari and Carlos Sainz and even Charles Leclerc themselves are really going to be in a good position to start challenging and making that title fight for the Constructors and the Drivers' Championship a lot more interesting in the next couple of years. You guys feel free to let me know your thoughts in regards to this in the comment section below, and we shall take it from there. As always, appreciate love and support you guys who show on the channel. If you're new, make sure to subscribe for weekly Formula One discussion content. Unfortunately, that's all the time I have for you guys today, but I will see you all later. Goodbye.